Well, good morning, happy new year guys and all that jazz. Hope this year is going to be a better one than the last one, that's for damn sure. So as you'll know, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you won't very often see me standing in a woodland. Two reasons, that is, firstly, I don't think of myself as particularly good as a woodland photographer. I find woodlands very challenging, but I'm never really happy with any images I get from the woodland. I think I like more of a simplistic shot, and woodlands offer so much chaos. It's just yeah, difficult for me to find an image I like. And also I think with woodland photography, it largely depends on conditions. So I love it when I see other woodland photographers images when they've got like loads of mist and mood and serious conditions like snow and ice and that sort of thing. So yeah, South Wales, difficult to get woodland. The other excuse I've got is South Wales, again, I'm blaming South Wales, doesn't have that much in the way of old ancient woodland. There's one in Pembrokeshire which I'm going to try and make more of an effort to get to, but we've got a lot of new forest and I find that kind of difficult to photograph. It doesn't have the charisma and stuff like that. Now I've chosen today to come to a local woodland not far from my house to try out a new camera, which I'll introduce you to shortly. Excited about that, nervous at the same time because you know, new gear and all that. So I'm going to try and look for a photograph. I'm going to try and find a composition, but as you can see, it's bare. I've come at the worst possible time of year. Such an idiot. As I said, don't take any woodland photography tips from me because I shouldn't be standing here now. Anyway, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that I'm a firm believer there's always an image. You can always get a photograph. If you've got positive attitude and you have your eyes open, you can always find a shot. So I'm going to eat my words on that one today. But there's some details around. There's these old mossy branches and stuff like that. There's plenty of opportunities, I think, to get a shot. Whether it's any good or not, I don't know. I wanted to get it very early this morning to see if there was any mist or anything like that, but it didn't happen, so I didn't bother coming. But we'll try and find a shot, and I'll introduce you to the camera very shortly. Be gentle, be nice, and yeah, if I don't find a photograph today, it's if I do find a photograph and it's crap, I'll blame the woods. Because look at it. I think woodland photography, you've got a really charismatic woods. There's some amazing woods in the UK, and Snowdonia's got some, north of England have got some incredible woodland. It's that, just check out Simon Baxter's channel for that. But I think South Wales is very difficult to photograph woodland. So I'm going to blame the woodlands if I can't get an image. If I do find an image and it's still crap, I'm going to blame the new camera because I've only been out and shot with it twice. So yeah, this is quite nerve-wracking. I found a shot. For a minute, I must admit, I doubted myself. I thought, you know, this ain't gonna happen. I'm being a bit optimistic because it is literally barren, everything is dying. But that presents itself opportunities. Before you introduce you to the camera, I'll talk you through the composition. I found this leaf against in the woods, I know, right? It's one of the last leaves hanging on this branch, and it's against the green, the dark green of the tree. So I thought that kind of isolates itself away from everything else. So I thought I'd go kind of fine art attempt, black and white. So turn the camera to shoot black and white and isolate this leaf. Be nice, as I said. It wasn't my first choice. Here we go. Here she is. My Nikon Z7 Mark 1. So here she is. Now I am thrilled with the camera. Now, I got this used. So this is a 2-year-old camera now. We're in this is January 2021. I can't believe I'm saying that. Years flown. And this was used without a mark on it, with a 3000 shutter count, which is really low. Don't even know if that means anything with mirrorless. 3000 shutter count, not a mark on it, and the lens was used as well. 1700 quid for the body in the UK. 1700 quid for a full frame 46 point something megapixel DSLR. I think that's a steal with IBIS. I think that's a steal. So it's not the camera I wanted to buy. The camera I wanted was a GFX. I said to myself last year, I've been talking to my mate Stephen Hanna, you might know, he's got a YouTube channel as well. He basically sealed the deal when he bought his GFX, and I was like, oh my. So I've basically not worked properly for the last 10 months. So I'm self-employed, I've got a limited company, I don't get furlough, I don't get any help off the government or anything like that. So I've not really earned anything. So I was going through some stuff and chucking stuff on eBay, what I don't use, but still, you know, invested in the business. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to sell all this and I'm going to get something, because I've got to take my landscape photography more seriously now. I've still got my X-T3, my X-T4, and my X-Pro 2, X100V and all that. I'll still be a strict, for everything other than landscape photography, I'm going to be a Fuji shooter. My weddings, when we're allowed to do, on my events, portraits. I just love the Fuji cameras. I won't be leaving the Fuji system, and ideally in a year or two's time, if I actually start making some money, I'd like to pick up a GFX still. So that would be my long-term dream. Now, I'm not bashing Nikon at all, but I was a Canon shooter for sort of 17 years professionally before I went to the Fuji system, and I much preferred the Canon white balance, the Canon colours, the Canon ergonomics to a degree, although I do really like this. So I've always not been the biggest fan of Nikon colours. So one of the things I was worried about most was the colours of the Z7, and obviously the single card slot. But from the research I've done, the single card slot, which is a silly new card, which is quite expensive actually, but I managed to get one of them as well on a good deal. I can't find any evidence of anybody having problems or any of them crashing or anything. I might have just jinxed myself, I don't know. So I was worried about single card slot, but now I feel a lot more confident. Especially, I would never do an event with this camera, so it's just a landscape camera. So yeah. Now, as I said, I've always wanted the GFX because I love the Fuji colours. I love how I'm quite lazy. I can edit a photograph in 30 seconds in Lightroom with the Fuji colours. I just find the X-T3, X-T4, yeah, even my street photography, I just literally chuck an Acros, chuck a classic chrome, chuck a Pro Neg standard or something like that on, and then I find them so easy to edit. The only thing with the Fuji system is I always struggle with sharpening. Lightroom just doesn't like sharpening. It's better than it was, but Lightroom just does not like sharpening Fuji files anything like as much as it does this. I've already done a comparison between this and the Fuji just to make sure I'm not talking crap, and this one comes out of Lightroom nice and sharp. Now you can obviously chuck from Lightroom straight into Photoshop, create a high pass filter, do your sharpening for your Fuji file in that. If you don't know how to do that, I'll probably do a video on that at some point, just because I still really need, like, events and stuff. I'll still be shooting my Fuji file, so I'll still need to do that. Now you might be saying Capture One, use Capture One, it's far better, and it is, but the workflow for Capture One for me just doesn't work. I don't enjoy the software at all. I find it overly difficult. I can't edit a photograph in less than 5 minutes in Capture One, and I can't imagine doing anything like for some of my clients like that in with that amount of time. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, quite often I try and use the JPEGs as much as possible with the Fuji, if I can get them right in camera, and then just give them the JPEGs because they're nice and sharp. But for landscape photography, things like clarity, like in this bark here with the green on it, I always found the Fuji struggles, so I'm really looking forward to being able to get nice, sharper images. You might not be in agreement with me right now. You might be getting ready to hammer the comments section down there. So you're talking crap. You don't have to use the camera, but yeah, I've always had sharpening issues with my Fuji. It's always been there. So yeah, looking forward to that. The other reason is a couple of months ago, as I said, landscape photography is going to be part of my bread and butter. I wouldn't say I'm going to be a professional landscape photographer. I would never want to do that. But landscape photography is something that in, say, 20 years time, I'd like to have a portfolio of images that I could learn, I could sell, I could have a gallery, I could do online sales, I could, you know, just high res stuff, big stuff. I mean, obviously I can do that with the Fuji anyway, but I tried printing one of my pictures that I took recently. I've had 3 or 4 restaurants and a gallery asking me to put this photograph on their wall, but they wanted it big and I wanted it big, so if we're going to sell it, it wants to be worth some money. And I'll stick the picture up. It's a 10B, reflections in 10B. Really like the photograph, and it's 26. I took on the X100V, so 26 megapixel crop sensor. Got everything right in camera. The histogram and everything was perfect, and I printed that to A3 plus, and I just felt that was as big as it would go. So I was heartbroken that I couldn't give that. This customer wanted it on a wall, like big, huge, 8 foot sort of thing. Now I know this would struggle with that, but at least it'd have a chance. So yeah, just the ability to be able to print big, I think, is something I'm looking forward to. And also, if I take a landscape shot, I think I wish I'd taken that portrait. I can crop out of it. I'm still probably going to have 20 megapixel there. So yeah, just things like that I'm really looking forward to. Now, as I mentioned, the colours, the white balance and everything, I'm not looking forward to that. Now, this camera, stupidly, it's got some things I really don't like about it. It doesn't have a rule of thirds grid. A landscape camera, Nikon. Landscape. Flipping heck. It's what it's designed for, and it doesn't have a rule of thirds blinking screen on it. So I might get a pen and marker and just draw it on the screen. The other thing is, you can't get a clear display. It doesn't let you get rid of everything off. It doesn't let you get rid of some of the things, like, for example, now you've got an I button there. Let me see this. You've got an I button there, and you've got an I button there on the screen right next to it. Why Nikon? Why have I got that there and that there? Well, I can't get rid of it. So that is just appalling. Obviously it's not got my Fuji ergonomics, which is going to take some getting used to. I do really like the ergonomics. It's stunning in the hand. It's not heavy at all. I looked at the D850. Can't do handheld shots with that because it hasn't got the IBIS. And with a high megapixel camera, you've got to be careful with handheld shots and stuff like that. So the IBIS is a huge part of the factor of me buying this camera, not for slow shutter, but just literally 125th of a second. I don't think the 850 would have been able to do it. It just doesn't. It just notices every error, so I'm really pleased this has got the IBIS and stuff. It's also got good video captures, but I won't be using it for video unless it's just B-roll or whatever like that. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. Now obviously because it's full frame, I'm not going to get the depth of field that I would with a crop sensor, so if you can focus at infinity you would get pretty much everything up to about 2 meters in front of the camera sharp, whereas this, like the photograph I'm just taking now, I'm far more aware that I would have to do this focus stacked. Even at f8, f11, f14, I'm still gonna have to focus stack it because it's full frame and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, pleased as punch with it. Really nice. I've got some friends that have got one. They really recommend them, and if I get into any problems or want to nick a lens off any of them, I can do that. So yeah, I am super excited about it. I am, yeah. Now one thing I am gonna say I'm looking forward to with the Fuji, if you shoot above 1600 ISO, the sort of dynamic range issues become apparent with the crop sensor camera. Now Fuji is a phenomenal camera, it's a phenomenal sensor, so I would never dream of bashing it, and it's just horses for courses. I think you're gonna, it's physics, isn't it? You're gonna get more from the bigger sensor. So I'm really looking forward to things like astrophotography, whereas you've got some dynamic range at 6400. Now I've never really had an issue with my XTs and my X Pro stuff when I've done astrophotography in the past, but I've always noted that when my friends have had Nikons like a D750 have done the same exposure next to the Fuji, you can see the Milky Way just like jumping off the back of the screen. It's just unbelievable. So I think that's just a Nikon and low light thing. So super excited about that, and obviously being able to do stuff a bit more in the shadows and stuff at high ISO as well. So I think that's something I'm looking forward to. Anyway, let's have a look at this photograph now. I've spotted this shot. Got this leaf in front of the tree, which we're going to have a look at now, and hopefully it works out well. I'm going really fine art. I'm going to go black and white, so I've turned the camera black and white. I'm just imagining the tree to be in a solid lump of black. So yeah, found this little leaf here, which is absolutely gorgeous, and it's got this perfect silver sort of branch holding it from above, and I think it looks almost like a necklace. So on the back of the camera I've got it framed so that in the top left hand corner it sort of swoops down, and with this sort of pendant coming down the middle. Portrait shot obviously, and as I said, it's a really close shot to the camera. So I've experimented f8, f11 because I'm on full frame. I want the background blurry, so I could go to f5.6. But what I want to do is I want to make sure the background is really dark, and I've got the I'm shooting in black and white on the Z7, so I can see the tones. I can see that the green is going to be black, and I can see that the light catching the branch is going to be nice and silver looking. So it almost looks like a necklace or something like that. It looks really nice. So very simple shot, focus stacked at the bottom of the leaf there, in the middle, at the top, and on the branch as well, just in case. So I've got a few options to play with. But yeah, really nice. 2-second timer. I've gone to 20th of a second f8 because I didn't want too much. There's a very gentle breeze every now and again, but I didn't want the leaf to move. So it's actually starting to pick up again now. So what I'll do is I'll take another shot now. What I tend to do with focus stacked images is, oh, that's the wrong button. That one there, that display button is close to the back button. So focus on the bottom of the leaf. What I do is I put my finger in front of the camera showing where I'm focusing, so when I get back and I look at the images, I'll know that photograph after the one with my finger in it is at the bottom of the leaf, and then the next I'll take one with the picture with my finger in the middle of the leaf and at the top of the leaf. So I know exactly where my focal points are, because Lightroom doesn't tell you that, does it? It doesn't tell you where your focal points are. So yeah, that's handy for focus stacking. Anyway, hope you like the image.